Number 29. Shouldn't a feminist leader be a woman who has lived the lives of the most oppressed, and not someone with a net worth of $60 million? Hollywood is notorious for being liberal and leftist. How much true sexism exists in that setting? Number 30. Notice how equality means men becoming more like women instead of women having to do the things that men have been doing for years. Number 31. When Emma said, women's rights has too often become synonymous with man-hating. If there is one thing I know for certain, it is that this has to stop. What does she even mean? Does she want the man-hating feminists to cut it out, or, more likely, does she want us to stop associating feminist with man-hating? Number 32. The very name of her organization he for she implies that a man is just a utility, worker drone, for the women. Was there even a single man involved when they decided what to name their campaign? Number 33. Emma, dear. If someone who wants power can't handle being called bossy, then they are clearly not leadership material. Number 34. Could you imagine a guy doing a speech something like this to women as a call to get rid of lifetime alimony slavery? He would be slaughtered. Number 35. She is a princess-class Western female, with incredible stretches of reason to find ways to bash even her own country, the one which gave her every advantage possible in the world. This exemplifies the problem with feminist thought, which has to find sexism even when there is none. Number 36. I already know where I can turn for women's rights. Where should I turn for men's? Number 37. When can I expect to see a program called She for Him? Seems like the speech is implying that women's hardships are so big that there just is no need whatsoever for a program called She for Him. I guess that would break with the feminist narrative of men being the oppressor. Number 38. She says men have some problems too. She throws us men a bone here, but it's not much. It almost feels like it was added as an afterthought. I wonder if the first draft said, oh yeah, and men have some problems too. Smiley face. LOL. Hashtag. Men's tears. Number 39. She mentioned that no country in the world can yet say that they achieved gender equality. I guess she hasn't heard of Sweden. Feminists will never claim victory in any country because then there's no reason for them to exist. Look at Sweden, the Saudi Arabia of feminism, according to Julian Assange. Feminists have taken over there. Number 40. Is she going to tell women to stop dumping sensitive and vulnerable men, and if so, who is she to dictate what they find attractive? Number 41. Why is there no call to action for women? Where is feminism's accountability? Number 42. She has the audacity to say that men should feel free to be sensitive and vulnerable. Feel free to be vulnerable. And celibate. Then she goes and dates the big man on campus, a rugby star player, who is most likely anything but sensitive and vulnerable. This is the same lie men have been told over and over by women in their lives, except now it is at the level of the UN. Number 43. Is anything going to be done for men at all? Apparently not, according to what I have seen on the He for She website. Number 44. I'm constantly being told that fathers are optional. Why else are single mothers lionized and subsidized, and same-sex couples romanticized and legalized? Later on, Watson is pointing out that society sees daddy as a lesser parent than mommy, but that can be seen as being about her rather than her daddy. After all, if stay-at-home dads become more acceptable, it will be easier for women to pursue their career ambitions. Number 45. Is she calling for a fundamental readjustment of society? What would that look like? A society composed of submissive men constitutionally incapable of leadership, together with controlling, uncontrolled women? Number 46. English statesman Edmund Burke said, all that is needed for the forces of evil to triumph is for enough good men and women to do nothing. There was no and women in his original quote. I guess in your rush to redefine everything in nature, it's okay to fabricate a historical quote, or two, maybe three. Oh, By the way, Emma. Edmund Burke was an Irish statesman, not English. Number 47. On some level the he for she motto implies that if a male goes along with the agenda, that he will somehow be rewarded. Oh goody. Number 48. When I was 8, I was called bossy because I wanted to direct a play we would put on for our parents. Translation: my feelings were hurt over 10 years ago, and I am a victim forever. Number 49. So what do men get out of supporting he for she? I guess we should just commit to a course of action, to be determined by feminists, without our input. Whatever is asked for, you are to provide, in a thoughtless and unchallenging manner, no matter what sacrifice to yourself, like an impotent soldier following orders. Number 50. And at current rates, it won't be until 2086 before all rural African girls can have a secondary education. Sorry to rain on your parade, Emma, but most rural African boys also do not get a secondary education. Number 51. Yes, feminism is seen as anti-male. But for the same reason the Klan is seen as anti-black, because they want to be treated better than those who are of a different and, supposedly, less human group. As an example, only a couple of years ago, the National Organization of Women called for all crimes of violence against women to be considered hate crimes, hence ensuring that they would carry a greater penalty than violent crimes committed against males. If wanting greater protection before the law isn't bigotry, then, what the fuck is? Number 52. If this is all about gender equality, why did Emma give the example of wanting to be in charge of the school play, rather than sharing directing duties? Couldn't a boy direct the first half of the play, and a girl direct the other half of the play? Number 53. What was the context of her being called bossy when she was 8? Was it a remark from an 8-year-old boy, or a remark from an adult commenting on mini-Hitler behavior? Number 54. Her female friends dropped out of sport lest they be seen as muscle-bound. I don't want to look like some filthy boy. Is as likely an explanation. Number 55. And sure, she goes on to make a good point about male suicide, but you have to throw a dog a bone once in a while. And given her apparent admiration of Hillary Clinton, she may be thinking that women are actually the primary victims of male suicide because they lose their husbands and sons. Not to mention that tragedy that life insurance doesn't pay out in the case of suicide. Number 56. She even complains that men don't feel welcome in the conversation about gender, which is a bit like Fred Phelps complaining that gays don't feel welcome at his church. If you are not aware of Fred Phelps, he is the owner of GodHatesFags.com. Number 57. This speech unveils feminism for what it truly is. Sexist frustrated women claiming to be the strong gender, but who do little more than whining about an unfair world without actually making it a better world themselves. Further demanding that men make it a better place for them. Oh, the irony. Everyone can tell it hurts the anally retentive femi-fascists like a third-degree burn. It hurts so much they have to block, ban and delete everyone who confronts them on their hypocritical bullshit. Number 58. This false, pretentious concern by Emma about how men suffer is always seen as a minor side note. I don't need nor want women speaking on my behalf, how could they possibly understand? Number 59. Women, especially feminists, don't ask of me what you wouldn't ask of yourself. Number 60. Today we are launching a campaign called He for She. As a fellow MGTOW Gregory Becker asked, who the fuck is we? You and your femi-fascist friends? The UN? Or some behind-the-scenes lobby group? Number 61. I bet that millions of African women, women in South America, and Asian women will be very happy that the UN has chosen a rich white Western woman with millions of dollars in her bank account to represent them. Not a slap in the face of those who are starving and are truly underprivileged at all. No way. It makes perfect sense in the crazy world of feminists. Number 62. I personally find it very troubling that this movement is funded by JP Morgan Chase and Company, as well as Barclays. For those that don't follow investment news, JP Morgan paid a $13 billion penalty for its role in the 2008 financial crisis. Barclays was also fined twice for failing to keep its clients' money safe by failing to ring-fence client assets from its own. Just over a month ago there was an article how Barclays could face an extra £1.2 billion in legal costs and fines. Number 63. I don't want an invitation, I want an apology for all the anti-male laws that feminists brought us. Number 64. Absolutely no mention of misandry. I guess this has to stop only applies to the association between feminism and man-hating. Perception management rather than reform. Number 65. Once she came up with the bossy story, you could see it wasn't about helping females in third world countries, but getting more attention for feminists in first world countries. The most privileged women in the world, if not the most privileged humans on earth. Number 66. Notice how feminists don't seem to have any problems with how women are treated in Islam and in third world shitholes. It's always about the big bad white man who wants a hot meal and a beer after work. Number 67. This speech was the perfect example of white knight bait, shaky emotional tone as if she is some scared little girl who is just so nervous and desperate for help. No wonder they got an actress to give this speech. I'll save you, Emma. And if I'm lucky she'll let me have sex with her one day. Number 68. Today's feminism is the women's privilege movement. He for she is incredibly sexist and just as one-sided as the term feminist. Clearly, Emma Watson believes men are just here on earth to serve women. She's not for equal rights because if she was, she would say she's an egalitarian, or a humanist. Number 69. Feminism in a nutshell, we need to start helping women. As for men, we need to start helping them help women. Number 70. Promoting female equality is inherently sexist because it focuses solely on the problems of women. That is not equal. Number 71. Stop treating women like children. They have the opportunity in the West. Give them some credit and let them be responsible for their own actions instead of blaming the system. Oh crap. There I go again with that accountability theme again. Number 72. Does Miss Watson realize that the number one perpetrators of child abuse are women? How about some root cause analysis? Number 73. I think it's funny how feminists think that the male gender role exists in a vacuum, and that it has absolutely no connection with female expectations and sexual selection. There's a good reason that men act stoic and macho. It's because women like men that are stoic and macho. Women don't like men that are emotional, vulnerable and passive. Women think those men are wimps. Women don't like wimps. Number 74. To me there appears to be a possibility that this hot, young, fertile, influential woman has been put on stage to get men's logic and reasoning centers to take a break. Had Whoopi Goldberg had given a similar speech, far less young male minds would have been influenced by the message of sacrifice yourself, he for she. Number 75. Back in 2012 Emma Watson was quoted as saying I won't date English men because they are too shy. Man up. Typical feminist shaming language. Fast forward to 2014 and she's quoted as saying it's terrible how men are expected to be masculine in this society. End gender roles.